Can I be honest about something? I mean, not that I'm not normally honest with you when I'm, constantly evading the authorities. You're basically the only people that I can be honest with, right? Before I have to pick up and move to a new hotel room. Although, good news, only in this one for like 2 more days until I think the authorities might figure out that I'm on the run and I get to go back home. So, like, according to my inside sources, that's going to be really exciting. But I do need to be honest with you for a second, right? Because I don't pretend to be an expert on anything. I obviously spend a ton of time watching soccer or watching football, obviously playing football manager. Won a couple of football manager championships. Does that qualify me to do anything? No, not really. So I just would like to be honest with something off the top. This Argentina France thing, it's awesome. It's so awesome. If I was Argentine or French, I'd really hate the other one, right? I'd be super gassed up. I'd be super like fired up. It's a heated, hated rivalry. I'm not talking about the chance stuff. I've already talked about all that. But I'm talking about just the result of that, the match that they played at the Olympics, right? And the intensity in the rivalry. That's awesome, right? Like I'm a big proponent of USA Mexico as being a terrific international rivalry, right? And I'm going to show you kind of what happened and talk about what happened in a second. But there are great international rivalries out there, right? England v Germany, right? England v Scotland. Those types of matches are fantastic. You get Morocco, Spain, and Portugal, and all those three teams, and they get all mixed up. That's a terrific international rivalry that goes down. Maybe a Greece v Turkey, right? There's plenty of matches. Norway and Sweden, I'm sure, has got a lot of gas to it, right? There's plenty of matches out there that have an edge. The Argentina England is another great example, to be honest with you. Argentina and Brazil. I can't believe I forgot to mention the Super Classico, but honestly, anytime I make a list like this, I'm going to forget to mention something, so my apologies for whatever freaking rivalry I forgot to mention. But this Argentina France rivalry that has come out as a result of everything that's happened, the world, the match at the World Cup, the chanting, all this stuff, it's awesome. It's great television, right? If you're a neutral and you're just tuning in to watch a random Olympic quarterfinal, and your options are to watch the U.S. get just blasted by, like wrecked by Morocco, to watch Japan get befuddled and bemused in their match. I can't remember who Japan lost to, but they got blown out, right? Or you can watch Paraguay and Egypt and a bunch of dudes you've literally never heard of before. But shout out, I love those types of matches, but I'm aware that a lot of other people don't. Okay. And Egypt winning on penalties, shout out. But you get France, Argentina. France and Argentina's U12s could play each other, and it would be electric right now. And long may this rivalry sustain. These two teams hate each other. Like all of this is boiled over. They freaking hate each other, and it is so fun to watch. So fun. The energy before the game, they're booing they're booing and jeering the anthem. Obviously, just the rabid nature of the French fans in this match were fantastic. France gets the early goal, so the French fans are just giving it to them and giving it to them. Argentina's getting chances. I don't know how Argentina didn't score in this game. Right? It's not like Argentina dominated France in any way. They had a couple of big time chances. There was a header in the first half. The dude felt like he was basically staring at the goal and somehow sent it over the top of the net. Julian Alvarez didn't score in the entire tournament. Don't know what he was doing, and he's trying to pretend that he's supposed to be starting over Erling Haaland. Give me a break, please. Seriously, you can't score in a glorified U23 tournament when you're playing like the local YMCA in Guinea, a nation that you definitely can't find on a map, right? Like, you can't score against those guys. How are you supposed to be in there over Erling Haaland? I once watched Erling Haaland score 9 goals against Honduras in the same fucking tournament. Okay, and everybody forget about that because that was awesome too. I remember watching that and thinking, wow, this guy's either really good or Honduras is really bad. Turns out both of those were right. The fun fact of the day. But the energy in this match was absolutely unbelievable. Just tremendous. And then France scores another goal late that gets called back. So, of course, the French fans are even more rabid about this. Plenty of stoppage time, right? Like all this crazy stuff going on that's just inciting the fans and energy. And I also want to give a shout out here. I'm going to give a shout out to the police, right? To whoever was administering this match, because as crazy as the atmosphere was, we didn't have any of the incidents that we had. They learned from the mistakes they made in the opening match of the Olympics, right? At least as far as I saw, maybe I missed something, right? There were no firecrackers being thrown at the Argentine bench. There were no brawls in the stands. The game wasn't delayed 20 billion times by people running onto the field, right? I mean, they learned from those mistakes made in that opening match between Morocco and Argentina and corrected it. And so while we had an incredibly intense atmosphere that was really exciting, super engaging, really fun to watch, it wasn't over the line to where it detracted from the game and endangered the players. In fact, the only thing that endangered the players is what happened after the match. And I believe now would be the time for me to show you kind of what happened after the match. So there were two things that drew attention. First, obviously, at the end of the match, so there's a final whistle. You had your 10 minutes of stoppage time, and they went a minute and a half over that to begin with, just seemed very normal. And then this whole fight breaks out. Look, I'm not even going to try and tell you who started this. Right now, Nico Otamendi, who was one of the 3 overage players, came out after the game and said this whole thing started because one of the French defenders was celebrating in the direction of the Argentine fans. But to be perfectly honest, based off the energy of the game, this was going to start at some point. And there was a pack of Argentines attacking, a couple French players. And then, of course, well, let's watch it. You see him coming from the right here. Big old fracas, right? That's the guy that scored the goal, Jean-Philippe Mateta. He realizes a fight's going on, so he's got to get over there. No real punches thrown, just groups of people coming together, talking shit, shoving each other. Pretty normal soccer kind of footballing stuff, right? I'm not surprised this happened at the end of the game. Obviously, this sort of thing shouldn't happen at the end of the game. It does indicate how much of a dislike these two teams have for each other. And there's a couple of other things that kind of spun off from this. One, there is a video that's been circulating of the French players celebrating in front of the Argentine players. Now, obviously, this is from a tweet in particular all about Argentina. So the France Olympic team celebrating in front of Argentina players, family members thinking they won the World Cup. One, I always hated the celebration police. If you won the match, you won the match, right? Obviously, Argentina would have rather won the match than lose the match. And if you're Argentina, also cry into your World Cup. You're the world champions. You shouldn't get this emotionally invested in the Olympic tournament because who gives a shit? To be honest, right? Like, Leo Messi isn't one of the 3 overage players showing up at this tournament. Not that he could be, because his ankle's the size of a balloon, but you get the idea. Honestly, I'd love to know what would happen if Argentina, the so-called villains of the world, had done that. Imagine the outrage. I feel like somebody would have made a tweet that looked a lot like this. Then we would have all moved on with our lives. I mean, did anybody remember what Argentina was doing after they beat the Netherlands? Right? I'm pretty sure half those dudes literally grabbed their nuts while they were running by the Dutch team. Like, it's not like Argentina is absolved from talking shit, from banter, right? We've heard a lot about banter recently. They're not endangering the families of the fans, right? We saw that at Copa America, but that's not happening here. They're just celebrating in front of them because this match has a huge edge. And let's be perfectly honest here, there's a ton of hatred between the French team and the French people against the Argentine people and the Argentine team for perceived injustices, right? We've already talked about all of this at length. And anytime your national team gets caught dropping a racist chant against another team, that team's probably going to be upset, right? And they're like, in Copa America, this probably would have turned into World War III. And the fact that it didn't is as it's honestly a good thing. Is this the classiest way to win a game? No. Are they harming anybody? No. But anybody that's ever watched sports or played sports understands that after a particularly intense, emotional, competitive match, particularly for these French players at their home Olympics. I mean, imagine how much this is built up, right? You've got the whole media firestorm around the whole situation, and it's just fueling you into this moment. And then there's that great release at the end of a game, right? This happens in every sport all the time, that tremendous release, and you do a bunch of stuff, and then 5 minutes later, you're probably a lot more composed, and you wouldn't be doing that sort of stuff. But like that release at the end, oh yes, screw you, fuck you, I won, like that sort of thing. Well, that's turned up to 11 in this situation because this rivalry is so amazing, and I want this rivalry to continue. It's awesome. If Argentina beats France in Argentina, I would love for the Argentine team to do the exact same thing. Because Argentina does play the villain. They've played the villain, like it's just what they do, right? The way Argentina won the World Cup was like grit and villainy and messy, right? Like just this kind of tenacity, this otherworldly tenacity that was able to carry Argentina to that World Cup. That tenacity is still there, evidenced by the shoving match at the end of the match. right? Again, never going to condone that sort of stuff, but that's sort of like dog off the chain mentality that guys like Nico Otamendi have, where somebody starts celebrating in front of their friends. Oh, wait, bro, what are you doing? You're like that sort of just in your face, we're going to be tougher than you mentality. It just carried over, and it's part of what made this match so great to watch. And then there was a final video circulating. It's a video of Argentine players kind of dapping up French players after the World Cup final. And to be perfectly honest, mad respect, obviously, to the people that did this. I'm assuming this is far, further after the match than the initial reactions between the French and Argentine players. But also, let's be honest, a lot has happened since then that has fueled this rivalry. But the main point of this video is awesome. This is sick. Argentina and France hopefully play it every World Cup for the rest of time, because I would love to watch it, because it is awesome. I understand if you're Argentine or you're French, you want to just run through a brick wall to beat that other team, right? But that's perfect. That's amazing. International football, well, obviously trying to avoid the awful incidents. Maybe we don't chant on a bus, right? But like, international football could use more rivalries like this. And the fact that we have this one that is able to make even men's Olympic football wildly entertaining is great. It's great for the game, and it's great for my eyeballs. Honestly, it is. But I don't blame anybody in this situation, right? As long as no punches are thrown, nobody's seriously physically threatened, the kind of shouting, shoving match at the end because you feel like you're being disrespected, the celebrating in front of the fans, all's fair in love and war in football. And that, at the end of the day, as long as nobody's health and safety is endangered, that's the edge. That's the edge. Yes. Yes. Embrace the dark side.